Hello everyone, this is Tim, and this is going to be a video response to Bill Allan, who put out a video recently entitled, The Real Truth about being a master, GM, DM, storyteller, etc. I'm sort of walking around the park right now, trying to find a quiet spot, which is kind of tough here. But, so he put out this video, and it influenced me, motivated me, etc., to try to put something out in response to that. I know a lot of these YouTube videos kind of have that smarmy used car salesman like, oh, I'm going to sell you a car, sonny. It's going to be the best thing you ever bought. Chucking snake oil at you with the various tips and tricks and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of it really just turns me off, If it's too shiny and slick, I find myself, I don't trust it. And Bill's kind of cutting against the grain of those kind of videos, Like, use these 10 tricks and you'll be the best GM in the world. And the truth of the matter is that you have to put the time in. You have to put the work in. Even if you've been gaming for years, if you're only running like 3 or 4 games a year, you really don't have as much experience as someone who's, running multiple games a week. Or, I'll give you an example, like when I was a kid, we'd probably play like 5 nights a week. And that was including like monster marathon sessions of like Rollmaster and things we used to play, basically from the time we got off school on Friday minus time to eat and sleep barely, we'd play like all weekend. And those kind of experiences I think are in there, they're up here. I can fall back on those experiences whenever I'm kind of thrown for a loop by a player who hit me with a surprise. And honestly, I kind of like being stumped, and I kind of like being like surprised by what somebody does, because because I'm so jaded. I guess I've been around for a while. I didn't start as early as Bill did. I started back in like 1991 with Black Box D&D, but that's still a pretty long time, And there were some droughts in there. I had my Magic the Gathering phase where I kind of got away from RPGs for a while, but it's kind of like one of the great love affairs of my life. I always come back to it. So, but I've put time in, and while I might disagree with Bill saying that he can improvise a session and it'd be the best game of my life, I think I'm maybe just a little bit more humble in that respect. Like, yes, I have improvised whole sessions. Yes, I have had people say that it was really good, or that they enjoyed it, or that they had no idea that I improvised at all. But there's also been times when I've tried to improvise things, and that inspiration that is usually pretty faithful for me wasn't there, dried up. You can't really expect that always to be there. There are going to be times when you try to lean on it and depend on it, and you got nothing. You just got cliches and tried and true things, and you go to the bar, that kind of stuff that happens all the time in games, and isn't necessarily the most interesting or novel, or even like a trope with a twist. Sometimes that can just be boring for players. I think the nice thing about YouTube videos and blog posts and books on the subject of role-playing, and as a sort of meta level, is that you can pick up techniques or styles of play that you haven't been exposed to in your real life. To give you an example, when I first started playing, I was running games and playing games in total isolation from any other gamers other than my brother and whatever neighborhood kids we could get to play. Sometimes, I think we got a few like youth group kids to come play with us too, but most of the time it was just that core group of the local kids, the neighborhood kids. So the way we did things was just the way we did things, and we learned via trial and error. We would, come up with ideas and try to implement them, and if it worked, great, and if it didn't, well, okay, we're not going to do that again. So, this is pre-internet that I'm talking about here. In a way, I'm kind of glad that I learned via trial and error like that. I don't know, it feels like I had to learn the hard way. I'm kind of stubborn like that, and sometimes someone can tell me, like, this is really good for you, Tim. And I'm not going to take it. I'm just not going to do it. I have to learn the hard way for certain things. And I think that's kind of a truth too, is, even though you watch umpteen thousand YouTube videos on role-playing, you have to put the time in. You have to learn, and you have to feel that pain of of failing, you know? Like, you have all these grand ideas at the start of a campaign, and then it just all collapses around you and buries you alive. You're like, holy crap, that ended so terribly. Like, your expectations were way up here, and the actual campaign was just nowhere near what you thought it was going to be. Like, that hurts. Like, like that kind of failure can, wipe somebody out of the entire hobby. But, us stubborn bastards that keep coming back for more, we learn eventually. It just, maybe I'm a bit dense at times, but, maybe I've failed more than other people. I don't know. But I keep trying. And I think, kind of like a video that Andrew Wood put out a while back, that trying is the most important thing. Just keep trying. Keep putting it in. Learn from your failures. See what else is out there, sure. But that doesn't replace the fact that you got to sit in that hot seat, and you got to have you're going to have a bunch of people around you expecting you to come up with intelligent things and novel ideas and twists on old tropes that they didn't see coming. And oh my goodness, I can't believe what that NPC did. Tim, you had that NPC do the most crazy stuff I've ever seen. It was awesome. But you're also, going to have that feedback that isn't so great. And your pride, you have to sort of understand, like, your pride's going to take a hit. Like, you think that, all your children are the best thing ever, and someone's going to tell you that your ideas, or certain ideas of yours, suck. They're just awful. Don't do that. Why did you do that, Tim? That was so trite. That was beneath your normal standard of running games. So, yeah, you're going to get hit with a lot of that stuff. I think the biggest thing for me for YouTube is that it did expose me to different ways, maybe a more immersive way of playing and running games. I had already done the role-playing and stuff, but I think I brought that up a notch or two after watching a lot of YouTube videos. I think my lingo is better now. I can explain and describe certain role-playing, ideas. But honestly, like, if you're talking to people that don't watch a lot of YouTube, you're going to be talking a different foreign language to them, and they don't watch theory videos, and they don't obsess over the latest, RPG thing. Most players just show up and they want to have fun. So you have to be able to translate all that, legalese, all that RPG talk into something that the players will understand. Probably the hardest thing about being a GM is figuring out what your weaknesses are, and then working on improving them. Figure out ways to, overcome those parts of yourself, or the way that you present yourself to the players, whatever it is. Just working on that. And while you're working on those weaknesses, you can rely on your strengths. But you have to know what those are. And the only way you're going to know what those are is to put the time in and, just see how it goes when you run a game. One way to figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are is to get feedback after a session or between sessions via like email or messages or something, or calling them, seeing what the players thought of how you did during a session. And you have to be willing to accept that. Don't be defensive. They're trying to help you. They're trying to give you constructive criticism, and show you maybe a point that you didn't realize was bad, but from their perspective it was. Something that hasn't been mentioned yet, I don't believe, is playing under other GMs. Before there was YouTube to get tips and tricks and techniques from, there were other GMs. I talked about growing up in isolation and just doing our own thing, our own culture of play, again with that RPG sort of theory talk. And the first time that I played under another GM, it was at my gaming club in Pittsburgh, GASP, and Dan Settarelli was the first master GM I'd ever played under. In my mind, just the things that he did and how he incorporated, the proactive player choices was amazing to me. And probably the biggest, thing that he ever told me was, listen, just shut up, because, you do a lot of talking as a GM. Just shut up and listen to what the players say. If they're trying to figure something out, they're probably going to come up with something that's even more interesting than half the GM prep that you have. So, 5-figure discount that stuff and mix it into your already figured out prep plans and work from there. That's probably the biggest thing that I learned from him. But yeah, play. A lot of us just become GMs and we don't play a lot. But I think if you don't play, and especially if you don't play under different GMs, you're missing out. You might find a technique that just would greatly improve your own game. So don't neglect play. Don't neglect trying to get out there to see what other people do and how they do it. Different genres either. Like you can mix in, spray paint something from a sci-fi game and throw that back into a fantasy game, and you can really steal a lot of ideas from these other games that you get to play in. Being a GM is tough. There's a lot of skills that you have to learn, to improve upon, and that really comes through practice and time. And you're not going to get that from a YouTube video. You're not going to get that from a blog post. Also, you're going to get rusty if you're not continually running games. If you go through a drought period, you're going to find when you start running games again that those neurons aren't really attached as securely as they were before. There's going to be some things that maybe were easy for you before that, oh wow, I forgot about that. Oh, I got to work on that again. And a lot of it is just subconscious. It just happens. I've actually told people that I think I've rewired my brain. I am very good at reacting to things, and when I'm coming up with ideas for other people, I seem to be better at that than when I'm trying to come up with my own ideas. It's almost like I've made it so that I need that input first to kind of come up with a lot of ideas. So, I've had people tell me that I'm very reactive, and I kind of go with the flow a lot more than maybe some other GMs do. And I don't know. I do my best. I'm not always great at that. Am I the best GM out there? I don't believe so. But I try. I do the best I can. And I've practiced a lot. So a lot of things that might come naturally to me would be challenging maybe to somebody else. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like to throw titles around too much. So again, I wouldn't call myself a master. Experienced, I guess. I kind of like that a little bit better. But yeah, so if you're out there and you're new, don't let this be discouraging. Just know that it's a lot of hard work, and there's a reason that there's not that many game masters out there, that there's a lot more players, because it's tough. so good luck out there. If you have any questions, I'll be around. Don't be afraid to check out some of my older videos, and maybe some of those will give you some ideas too. But yeah, thanks a lot for listening, and I'll put links down below to all the videos that have been posted so far about this subject. Thanks.